Hi guys, Shimo Polot here. Welcome back to the channel. This week I want to show you 5 really cool features that I've been using this past month in my work, and I thought, why not share them? Some of them are actually new to me as well, but most of them I just happened to use them this month. But anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so the first one is this really cool menu in Excel, because I have to start with Excel because I love it so much. But this really cool menu in Excel called the paste special menu. And so let me show you a trick. Okay, so say you have a bunch of figures here. Now I just used I used a random formula to generate these numbers. But so let's assume that this is money in Uganda shillings or UGX. You wanted to convert them to US dollars or any other currency, okay? So there are a couple of ways that you can do that. If you have the currency here, which is, I've sort of put the exchange rate in this box right here. And so one of the ways that you would do it is you take this amount and you divide it by that, and you just lock that cell. And then you just copy everything downwards. And then you would have the values in USD automatically, okay? So this is cool if you want to have both figures available, the figure in UGX and the figure in USD. But what if you wanted to just convert those figures in UGX to dollars in that same place, okay? Then you could use the paste special menu. And so how you would do that, I'm just going to delete that really quickly. Delete this. We'll delete this in a second because it won't make any sense. Okay, so now, right, you have the figures and you have the exchange rate. All you have to do is click on the exchange rate, copy it, select the figures that you want, right click, go to paste special, go down here to paste special, and it brings up this really cool menu that has a bunch of different features. But what I'm interested in is, how do I convert the UGX figures to USD? I divide by the exchange rate. So I just go to divide, I click OK, and there we have it. Our figures have been changed automatically. And there you have it. So this paste special menu is really cool for a bunch of different reasons. There are a bunch of different ways you can use it. I'm just going to show you one more example. If you have, sometimes you import data into Excel and the numbers come as text, okay? The numbers come as text, and so let me just convert these to text. Okay, so now sometimes when you have numbers that come into your Excel sheet as text, it's not always that easy or that straightforward how to convert those back to numbers, okay? Just because Excel can do some funny formatting stuff sometimes, okay? Because usually you'd think, okay, if these numbers have come in text, then all I have to do is just select this and then Control 1 and then go to number and then change them to numbers and click OK. And sometimes that works, okay, as you see there, but sometimes it doesn't. If you experience it, the time will come when it won't work out that way. But in that case, another way you can do it is simply click inside an empty space and copy that and select the range again. Sorry, just select the range, right click, go to paste special, and what you're doing now, you want to add, because what you're saying is that you want to add whatever is in that blank space, which is a 0, to those numbers. And what you're telling Excel is essentially that the figures in here are actually numbers, so treat them as such, and it converts them to numbers automatically. So that's a trick for when that is applicable, whenever that is, or never, who knows, then you just do something random. All right. But yeah, that's it for that. The next thing that I want to show you is how to use sequence to generate labels for your numbers. Okay, so now I am inside a Google Sheet, and you can use Google Sheets or you can use Excel, the same thing, okay? But say you have a random list of names, okay? You have a random list of names. Let me just add a few. There we go, okay? So now what if you wanted to add numbers to each of these, right? So, and you just keep adding the names and you want the numbers to add as well, okay? So the tedious way would be to do what I just did, write all the names, then write 1, 2, and then just like highlight them and then drag down, okay? But That's boring and inefficient, okay? Now, a while back I talked about the dynamic arrays functions that are in Excel and also Google Sheets that are really useful. I want to show you a really cool trick that you can use, okay? So there is a function called sequence, which I have talked about before. If you don't remember, watch my video on dynamic arrays up here. Okay, but so what sequence does is it generates a range of numbers based on the instructions that you give it, okay? So what I want sequence in this case to do is give me a number in a sequential order by 1 every time I add a name, okay? Now, I could, number of rows, I could do, let's say 10, if I know I'm going to have 10 names, and then 1 column, start and 1, skip every 1, right? If I know I'm going to have 10 names, that I can do this and then generate the 1 through 10 automatically. But what if I don't know how many names I'm going to have, okay? What I can do is that I can set it up such that sequence only adds a name every time there's an entry in this column, okay? Really cool. So let me show you. First thing I'm going to do, just going to add a space there. Maybe I'll put ID and then I'll put name. Okay, so now I use the sequence formula again, but now in the rows where it asks me how many rows, I'm going to insert a count A function. And what count A does is it counts the number of non-zero entries in any selection, okay? Non-zero, okay? So if there is a 0, it'll ignore it. Or if the box is empty, it'll ignore it, okay? So what I'm going to tell count A is to pick what's in this entire row, like that. And that will be for my rows. Then column, I want 1 column, start and 1, and skip every 1, okay? Enter, and I do that, okay? So now, so it searches this thing, and if it finds 5 names, it does 1 up to 5. So if I add another name, it adds a 6 automatically. There you have it, and that's a trick. So, and you can add a bunch of stuff to this, right? You can add, what if you want it to be number 1 or 1.1, whatever way in which you want to edit it, you can do that. But that's a bit complex for now, so I'm just going to leave it. But this is a really cool way that you can auto-number your entries without having to hassle so much. Okay, then another feature that I've been using very recently, but this is in Excel, is Excel's camera. I'm just going to copy this and go back to my Excel sheet over here. And so I want to paste this in here. I'm going to make it a bit bigger just so you can look at it. That small n is bugging me, so I'm going to just change that, okay? I'm going to make this, make this yellow, okay? So what if you want to share a list with someone without actually sharing the Excel sheet? So more often than not, people use screen recording or screen capture tools to sort of just extract a portion of their screen and share it with someone automatically. But did you know that Excel has a camera built in, okay? So that camera can be found in the quick access toolbar. If you do not have it there, it isn't there by default, but to get it, all you have to do is go up here, click the 3 dots, go to more commands. In this drop down, click all commands, and then everything is arranged in alphabetical order. So you need to go through the A's and get to C, and you find camera there. Now in my case, camera is already here, so I can move it out here just to show you how you do it. But then I click camera and I move it back, and it appears in this box, which is a customized quick access toolbar, which is that at the top over there. And then once you've done that, you just click save and you close this out, and so the camera icon will appear there. So all you have to do is select the area that you want and then click the camera, and then you'll see these green crawling ants that will come around your selection, and then you just click anywhere that you want, and as you can see, your image is created automatically. Usually it comes with a sort of black border around it like that, and I usually just remove that border by going to picture format and removing the outline, and there you have it. So now this you can copy. I could copy it and you can paste it anywhere, in an email, in a report, whatever you want. Now what makes this camera really cool, the only reason why I would use this camera versus my regular screen capture tool, is because a really cool thing happens. Every time you make a change in the original selection, the image that you create will automatically update. So if I change James to Susan Wamala, you see that I change here and it changes in the picture as well. So this is really cool if you're entering some information in real time and you want to export it in a picture format, but you don't know what it's going to look like yet, so you just keep updating, and then once you just take the picture the first time, you don't have to worry about it after that, because whatever updates you make will change automatically, okay? That's why the camera is really cool in Excel, so try using it. The last two features that I want to talk about are actually not in Excel or Google Sheets. These are in Google Docs and Google Drive. So I'm going to start with Google Drive. I'm going to go to Google Drive. So very recently, Google Drive now allows you to cut and paste and copy and paste items. This is a big deal to me because in the recent past, Google Drive does this, like when you select a file and you want to move it somewhere else, you have to use move, or you have to make a copy of it, and it's just very cumbersome. But now you can select a file and then you can cut it with Ctrl X, and I can move it inside a folder here, and I can paste it in there, and there it is. So now Google Drive allows you to do a bunch of cut and paste and copy and paste functionality, which wasn't possible before, and that's a really cool thing that you should try out next. All right, then last but not least, Google Docs. So in Google Docs, and I've talked about building blocks in Google Docs before, I just want to show you something really cool. Do you know that you can now add drop downs in Google Documents? So what I'm going to do is you'll use building blocks to create some sort of meeting, note-taking situation. So I click the @ sign and I just type meeting notes, and I pick, let me pick this meeting right here. Okay, so when I click that, Google automatically creates some sort of format which will allow me to make notes and put action items. Okay, so say I add some action items here. Okay, those are enough. Okay, so now you can actually use drop downs to, say, add some sort of status to an action item. So for example, if I wanted to put a status on how far I'm doing with saving the world, so what I can do again is I can use building blocks to just type the A and then search get drop down, and Google has some built-in options for you. It has a project status and it has review status. And in this case, I think review status may not make sense because it has approved. So this is like reviewing a document and stuff like that. And project status, let me go with project status. Okay, so yeah, there you go. And so if you're collaborating in this document with someone else, then you can easily update the status by doing that. Drop down completed and stuff like that. Even though, and this of course is subjective, because you know, if you have checkboxes, then checkboxes mean that you've completed. But you could use the drop downs in a table. You could use them in any bunch of documents that you're collaborating in where it makes sense. And if the default options don't work for you, then you can create your own drop down by going to insert and drop down and new drop down. And as you can see, Google does a fantastic job of giving you all these options. So you can create a drop down that has as many options as you want, and you can change the colors, and you can change the text even. You can move them around, you can change the orders. It's fantastic. I suggest you try it. Use the drop downs to, especially for the Google documents where you're collaborating with a bunch of other people. I think it's a really cool feature that I'm going to use a lot more often, mostly because I can, also because I'm slightly pretentious. But yeah, try it out. Otherwise, with that, those are the features that I wanted to share with you that I've been using relatively frequently this month. I hope you learned at least one new thing in this video. Otherwise, that's it for me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone you think might need it. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.